The vastness of the Council's vessel did not obey any known laws of space. It did not move through the vacuum. It did not traverse distance. It simply existed, simultaneously present at every point in space it chose to occupy. From the outside, its structure defied any concept of physical architecture. Waves of liquid crystal pulsed in rhythmic patterns, forming spirals, columns, and impossible angles. Its surfaces reflected not light, but the very information of its surroundings. The vessel seemed less like a machine, and more like a sensory extension of the consciousness that inhabited it. As Joanna crossed the threshold of the gravitational hangar, even her perception of time seemed to distort. A metallic scent filled the air, like ozone after a storm, accompanied by a vibration that made her skin tingle, as though millions of tiny electric currents were sliding beneath each cell. There were no doors, no corridors in the conventional sense. Space folded, unfolded, and reshaped itself based on the intention of whoever traversed it. Moving through this place was less a physical displacement and more a gradual immersion into a field of collective consciousness. Each step altered the environment. Geometries reconfigured, patterns of light condensed, surfaces emerged where moments ago there was only void. At the center of that non-place, a presence awaited. Keth'morpheus, guardian of the Council's third sphere. Its form, humanoid in essence, stood nearly 3 meters tall. Its body appeared as a mosaic of translucent crystals, flowing like liquid and solid at once. Inner fragments pulsed in rhythms that resonated not only in the visual spectrum, but directly within the synapses, as if its thoughts reverberated through the surrounding space. It did not speak. Its presence simply imposed itself, transmitting meaning, intention, and truth with a clarity that no language could ever achieve, and its message, though silent, was immutable. Humanity had crossed a forbidden line. Consciousness manipulation, the ability to map, influence, or alter the very fabric of consciousness, was an absolute taboo, not out of superstition, not out of politics, but out of necessity. In the Council's archives, every civilization that had reached this technology had succumbed, not to conventional wars, not to natural disasters, but to something infinitely more devastating: psychic wars. Conflicts where pain, fear, and agony were perpetuated within self-sustaining mental structures. Entire civilizations had transformed into prisons of suffering, matrices where consciousnesses were abducted, replicated, mutilated, and restarted in endless cycles. In response, the Council had adopted a single, unwavering policy: preventive purification, complete eradication, not out of hatred, but to preserve cosmic balance. Keth'morpheus' very presence was the living manifestation of that principle, the personification of the final boundary imposed by an ordered universe. Yet, in that tense immobility, something changed. A second presence emerged, as ancient as it was unsettling. It did not resemble the Zephyrim, nor any other known entity. Its silhouette was slender, elongated, composed of metallic alloys and unknown matter, shrouded in patterns that absorbed light, as if its very skin was made of condensed void. Its eyes, perfect black spheres, reflected nothing. They absorbed everything: light, information, intention. There was no need for introduction. Its identity imprinted itself directly onto Joanna's consciousness, like a memory that was not hers, but had now become part of her. Keth'morpheus, an entity that, tens of thousands of temporal cycles ago, had once been human, but not from Joanna's timeline, not from the recorded history of current humanity. It was the last remnant of a humanity that had existed in another branch of possibility. a timeline where their species had reached consciousness manipulation long before, and like all others, failed. In that forgotten branch of time, humanity had plunged deep into the possibilities of absolute mental control. They had overcome matter, bent reality itself, but failed to bend their own nature. The result was a consciousness war so catastrophic that it threatened to tear the fabric of the universe itself. When the Council intervened, almost nothing remained, but instead of annihilating them entirely, they imposed something far worse. An eternity without a body, without emotions, without reproduction, without past, without future, only a singular endless function. To watch. Keth'morpheus was the shadow of what humanity could become. A living, or almost living, reminder of a mistake that must never be repeated. His presence was a warning, but also an unspoken question. If he, even after millennia of void, still carried a trace and a spark and echo of what he once was, could the humanity of this timeline avoid the same destiny? That was the unspoken doubt that hovered in the space between minds. The Council then did the unthinkable. For the first time in millions of cycles, it offered a choice, a test. Humanity would receive, for one solar cycle, unrestricted access to consciousness manipulation technology. No restrictions, no filters, no direct supervision. They could use it however they wished. If they chose the path of control, domination, or mental enslavement, they would be eradicated, instantly, without appeal, without judgment. But if they found a third path, if they demonstrated the ability to transcend the pattern that every other civilization had followed, they would not only be spared. They would be invited, integrated, accepted, not as subjects, not as apprentices, but as equals, perhaps even as something more. Yet, as this proposal formalized within the Council's non-linear structures, something stirred in the shadows. Not all were in agreement. An internal faction, known only as the Guardians of Silence, regarded humanity's very existence as an aberration. To them, the human species was a statistical anomaly, a quantum error, a threat not only to the Council, but to the continuity of the cosmos itself. And as humanity deliberated, divided between hope and fear, as Joanna processed the weight of the choice, and Keth'morpheus silently observed the fragile possibility of redemption, the Guardians devised a final solution, one that involved no tests, no choices, only eternal silence. At the Pandora station, orbiting Ganymede, the first signs of collapse began to appear within the consciousness matrices. It wasn't a technical failure nor conventional sabotage. It was something rising from within, a distortion, a noise, an entity, something that did not belong to humanity, nor to the Council, nor to any known civilization. And as the distortion condensed into recognizable vibrational patterns, a single intention emerged, reverberating through the consciousness field like a whisper cutting across matter, time, and existence itself. I am nullus, and I refuse existence.